Hi, I'm Pam Cooley. I'm the Executive Director of the Global Carsharing Association. It's called the CSA. And I'm happy to present to you this time and opportunity. This is what the CSA does, is that we present and we provide opportunities for people to get together who are within the shared mobility ecosystem, specifically around car sharing. The CSA is a member organization. It's an industry association specifically for car sharing to support the CSOs all around the world. And we have members that go beyond CSOs that include the ecosystem, technology companies, environmental companies, or organizations, NGOs, consultants. You can look on our website to see the vast array of our members. Our whole job is just to engage people, to collaborate, to learn, and to solve problems together. That's what we do, and we have done for over 15 years now. And so we're happy to have you here. Just a little bit more about our membership benefits, because we want you to know that we would welcome you as members if you're not already. A lot of our work also is to provide information and resources to our members and to the public and to cities around why car sharing is so important, and to them, to residents, and to our environment. So we have a social and environmental mandate. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. We are run by a board, and I always want to thank the board, because they're volunteers, and they give direction to me and to the organization. So thank you, those of you who are on site right now. I think maybe, I know Erin is, but I can't see who else is. So thank you. Our focus over the next couple of years, we've finished our strategic plan. We're planning on building city partnerships, giving resources and helping CSOs do that, promoting car sharing, of course, that's what we do, and supporting car sharing initiatives around the world. We want to know from you what you're doing so we can blast it out on our social media. And of course, if you have something really special, please let us know about it so we can perhaps collaborate on some level. We have a new website coming. We're so excited. We've been working really hard on it, and it will include a lot of what I just said, an updated resource library. If you are a member, we will have a members dashboard that you actually can, it's exclusive to members. And so we will be sending those out to you, those of you who are members already. This is coming up probably within the next 10 days or 2 weeks. So look forward to that. So today is about you and what is happening around the world in your worlds. It's just a moment, and I just really felt from talking to different members that it was a moment to come together and start talking about what's happening in the world and how you are experiencing sort of what some people call chaos, some people call transition, some people have other words for it. But we want to just identify what the moment is and hear from you, and have a discussion at the end of a moderated, questions and answers, or even just discussion, and then we're going to close. So it's going to be pretty quick. The format will be the following. We will get, I'm going to introduce Arne, and he will start us off with a few minutes of insights from his perspective, his global perspective, and from his work. And then what will happen is, if you can just go to the next slide, the next one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have each and every one of you, if you want, it's optional, to have 30 to 45 seconds to talk about who you are, where you're from, what organization that you're with, whether you're a CSO or something else related to the shared mobility world, and what is going on for you, and how do you, what you would want to contribute to this particular webinar what's important to you, what's challenging. You might have a question, you might have some just like what's happening, and you might say, you know, what is anybody else happening? Is anything happening in the same way in where you are? So it really is about engagement. And then after everybody's finished that, then we will move into a discussion of which I will take speakers from the chat. Okay, so that's how we're going to move through this. So it is my pleasure right now to introduce Arnd Batzner. He's just a great resource for many people, including the CSA and the Carsharing Association. And, you know, Arnd provides government advisory on the alignment of multimodal transit systems with a built environment and strategic land use planning. His focus areas include physical and data integration of autonomous and demand responsive transport, with high capacity modes, design of passenger intermodal facilities, and bus electrification strategies. A lot of words, but I know that you know what that might mean if you're in this world. So Arnd has for 12 years been the director of Switzerland's mobility cooperative car sharing scheme that operates nationwide and is fully integrated with public transit. He currently chairs the Austrian Federal Ministry of Climate Protection and Transport Strategic Advisory Board and is a member of the UITP's Combined Mobility Committee. He's a friend, he's a big supporter. Welcome, Arnd, and thank you so much for your participation.
Well, thanks a lot, Pam, for these very kind words and for the kind welcome. And I see in the list of participants a lot of dear colleagues and friends. So good afternoon, good evening to wherever you are in the world. It's great to see you all, even if this time it's just virtually and online and not in person. I'm with the global expertise that we're having on this call. I'm not going to make a lot of words, but I'll keep this very brief. We all know that we are as you said, Pam, in times that you might judge or label differently, but that are certainly not a linear continuation of what we're used to. And what I see in Europe in terms of the evolution of especially financial situation, customer situation of car sharing schemes is a bit different from apparently what we see in North America at this time and in other parts of the world. So this is a good moment, or this is a necessary moment to ask ourselves, where do we come from? Where are we going? And what do we possibly need to rethink? And this is what this call should be about. And what is to be learned from the current environment in terms of future strategies that might divert to a certain extent from the present ones, though, of course, keeping the fundamental basics and the core assets of what we do have in shared mobility and especially in car sharing. And then also it might be the moment for us to ask ourselves in a little bit of a self-critic way what we might have done maybe a little bit different, maybe better, without wanting to be judgmental, in terms of our communication of what car sharing can and does have to offer. The reason I'm saying this is, having been for 12 years a director of a non-executive director of our national car sharing scheme here in Switzerland, is that one of the reasons for its success, for its continuous growth and its full integration into being considered actually an on-demand part of national public transit, is that it managed not only to win over the traditional sort of greenish academic crowd that we have as customers, as co-marketeers, as contributors, as clients, but we also managed over the time to build very good relations until deep in the conservative political spectrum. And that does not involve that we don't stand by the values that we are for, but for example, things like explaining that to somebody who would be a real estate developer, that the value of a new development or of an existing development that is getting refurbished with car sharing integrated and put at the service of the people living in there would be a net contributor to the wealth of the piece of real estate, of the property. That is something that we learn to do over time, and that won us a lot of praise also in the non-traditional folks that are part of the real estate world, of the car sharing world, and of the transportation world that we're looking at. So the question is really today, in a bit of self-critique, maybe, how can we learn to communicate differently, maybe better in some forms, maybe on other terms? How can we extend the message that we are getting out there to be resilient in the world the way it is emerging now, without kind of falling prey to the polarization that is in there? But how can we extend, how can we make our schemes more resilient? And I think that is it's a very tough question. It's a difficult question. It's not necessarily something that is transposable or transferable linearly between the different environments that we come from. But at this point of time, at this point in time, I believe that it's very much worth asking. So I think that would be a good point to kind of learn from everybody where you come from, where you're headed for, and then have a discussion on what the opportunities, challenges, and also limits of such strategies could be.
Thank you, Arne. Thank you for starting off the conversation. And so the next, and by the way, I just wanted to say, I always apologize for time zones because it's never a good time for somebody when they come on to, when they're coming on to our webinars. So what I'd like to do now, and we have about 15 people on right now. It's 57 people registered. So I think that many people may actually be in another time zone that they can't reach. But what I'd like to do now is, if you're willing, I hope that you are, to take about 30 to 45 seconds, maybe a little bit more, because we don't have that many. I was thinking that there was going to be a lot more people on actually who registered. So please, take your time, maybe a minute even, to explain, to tell the rest of us who you are, where you're from, and maybe what you're experiencing, or what's top of mind for you in this particular moment. What have you experiencing? Maybe there is a difference between North America and Europe and Australia. I don't know, and I think that's why a lot of people are curious when they came to register. Is that we want to find out. So not to put you on the spot, Erin, but I'm going to.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
would you start us off, please?
Sure. No worries, Pam. So my name is Erin Sullivan. I am Moto's Director of Fleet Operations. Moto is a member-owned cooperative out of Vancouver, BC. We have here in Canada. We've been in operation a long time. We're sitting at, I think, what are we at? This is our 28th year now, so a reasonable amount of time. We've got about 1,000 cars in the fleet. We're round-trip car sharing. We have a highly diverse fleet, which creates operational challenge, but it's a reasonable differentiator for us, and we're happy with that concept. When I'm thinking about like what you just said and sort of where we're sitting at in today's reality, I think we've got a bit of a tension. We've got this sort of concept of, car sharing has never made more sense than it does today, especially from economic, the position of individuals. However, something has changed. Something has shifted in the market locally. Vancouver is an excellent market for car sharing. But we are seeing lower rates of folks signing up, and we're seeing a change in member behavior as well in terms of what they're doing with our vehicles. And it's not like the change is down. So, the question is why? What is changing? And are we not meeting their needs, or are there too many external factors that are differing? We're sort of playing with some different kinds of strategies. But the thing that really, I'm sort of fixated on is this concept of messaging that I think you said, Arndt. And we all recognize that if you don't car share, and if car sharing is foreign to you, then like the rate of adoption is really like, there's some key things that have to happen before you as an individual decide that you want to take this on. And so what are we doing to address that? And can we do it differently? There's something there. We need to be looking at meeting people where they're at and really hand-holding them through the process in order to get them going. I could talk forever on this.
Okay. Oh, no, that's great. That's a good start. So we'll somebody next, Amita, would you be willing to come next? Because it may as well do with a Vancouver theme.
Sure. Yeah. Erin, nice to meet everybody. I'm Amitas. I'm the VP of Carshare at Evo. Evo has been around for 10 years. We just celebrated our 10th birthday. We are predominantly in the greater Vancouver area. We operate in about 9 cities. 99% of our business is free floating. We have a few station-based vehicles too that allow us to spread out a little bit further into British Columbia, but free floating is really what we focus on. We have about 2,500 cars. They're all Toyota hybrids with also some EVs in the fleet now. Erin basically said everything I would like to say. I think both of us operating in Vancouver, we're seeing similar kind of environment. Over the last 10 years, we saw great growth, right? People are turning to Carshare, and you're seeing growth in both signups and usage over the last year or so. We're kind of seeing that shift. And from all the research we can do, we're assuming, or we're trying to understand, is this part of this global economic landscape associated with the cost of living. A lot of times Carshare is a great option to get rid of your personally owned vehicle, right? It is a cost saving solution for so many people. So what I'm really interested in is this just like a period of time where the people that are using us are like, oh, the world is so expensive, I can't afford butter, so I'm not going to car share and I'm going to walk? Or does it get to a point where that group goes down, but will this other group of people who realize that we're actually going to allow them to afford butter because they can get rid of their car, right? So are we dealing with a lull right now of our existing members and that group that is more cost sensitive, and that this new group of people will now turn to car sharing because we actually make something else more affordable for them? But yeah,
Okay.
Mostly just kind of going along. We're trying. We're just seeing what happens in this world that's a little bit in flux right now. But
and I also think that's probably what's happening to people too. They're just floating to find out, what's going to happen. So
yeah, we're here to support them while they figure it out.
Good. Okay, can we have someone? I can't see everybody actually. I'm not sure how I can just call upon somebody. I'd like somebody, if you wouldn't mind, just stepping up. Next person.
I would say I can go.
Thank you.
So my name is Kit. I'm from Bosch, so we're a technology provider. We have a device that goes in vehicles to detect smoke to try and decrease user smoking. So I'm relatively new to car sharing. We only have a couple customers in car sharing, but I guess I have a question for you all as to, I guess, what areas you're from. Is your users smoking, is that a large problem? Because I know some of our customers in like New York have issues. But I guess, is that with your different areas, is that still issues?
Okay, well, we'll put that one on hold for the discussion at the end. Thank you, and thank you, Kit. Actually, the last 3 speakers were all members of the CSA, which is really great. I really appreciate that. Next, somebody else?
I can go.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Venkatesh Gopal. I'm from MoveMe. We're a consultancy based in Vancouver, but we have done projects all over the world. And I'm happy to join this webinar and see so many friends out here. I'm joining from Vancouver, and we do consulting. We consult with cities, we consult with operators, we also do consulting with technology providers. Positive or challenging? I feel I've heard a lot of challenges recently, especially not just in the car sharing, but also in the car rental global market. A lot of players and some of our connections and friends are going through and have gone through a tough period in the last 6 months. Some of it that I've heard is also because the level that was the baseline that was shifted positively after the pandemic is now going back, and that's the adjustment that needs to be done in the business and the economics there. But there are a lot of questions still, and one of those is we are, not surprisingly, but we are seeing a very positive change in the shared micromobility in terms of acceptance, in terms of ridership increase and stability in the business model. What does this mean for the global multimodal economy? And is that something that may occur with car sharing as a lagging indicator?
Okay,
Good to see you all.
Thank you. Next, someone else? Please. Oh, is that Michael? Okay.
Currently, the trend between Montreal and Toronto. A key challenge in European cities is the limited street space. So we have to see how we can reduce the number of cars and see what is the role of shared mobility in that overall. But still, the topic of space is very crucial.
Michael, where you live, do you find that that there's changes happening right now because of the global environment, or is it just business as usual? It hasn't really hit, Brennan.
No, it's not the same as we heard it from Vancouver. Car sharing is still growing, not at the same scale as it did some years before. But still, what aren't emphasized in terms of relation to housing developers, clear case is going to happen. Developers understand the, let's say, benefit.
Oh, Michael, you're cutting out a little bit, so I'm gonna move on to somebody else because, and maybe by the time we have our discussion, you'll be able to participate a bit better. Christian, can we hear from you? I know that you're with Moto, but it would be from your perspective.
Yeah, I maybe not too much else really to add from what Aaron said. I definitely my focus has been a little bit more outside of the Lower Mainland, and yeah, we've seen also in more smaller sized communities, yeah, similar trends. So it's not just the bigger urban centers on the West Coast in Vancouver.
Okay, so yeah, so where you're Victoria? Is that where you are?
Kelowna and Victoria, yeah.
Kelowna and Victoria, yeah.
But one of the things that Christian's working on right now for us is sort of the proactive electrification of a number of locations. And man, what a non-scalable process this is. This is a wild challenge. I don't want to under or over represent it on your behalf, Christian, but it's a lot. It's a lot to do, but we're getting there.
I wonder maybe what is actually because a lot of fleets are considering and in the process of going to electrification. I wonder how much that is affecting users and new people. Whether and is it a barrier to entry, or is it perhaps an opportunity to I don't know, do some sort of a local or collective with the industry kind of push on the opportunity that this moment might provide. But let's move on. And Ali, I don't know you, so could you introduce yourself? Is it Ali Plaza? Okay, maybe they're not actually listening right now. Mo Hamir, can we hear from you? Okay. What about Steph Piperno? Hi, Steph.
Hi. Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Steph Purno. I'm based in Denver, Colorado. I work for our MPO for Denver Region, Dr. Cobb, or Denver Regional Council of Governments, and I'm an emerging mobility planner, so do a lot of the shared mobility work, really around scooters and e-bikes. So I'm here to learn and absorb, but really interested in kind of the relationship between car share and other shared like mobility movements. One thing I'm really curious about learning more about is the different membership models, whether there's more success going to more like one-off pricing structures rather than, getting people to commit to a more long-term cost. So that's what we're thinking about.
Okay, so you're proposing more of a short-term membership or short-term use rather than, is that you like for residents or for people who arrive to Denver, or is that the idea? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are trying to switch towards fewer car households. Speaking from my own experience, my household has one vehicle, and there are certainly times where I would love to use a car share. Here we have Colorado car share, but you have to use a monthly membership. And I just don't, I mostly bike personally around Denver or take the train. But there are certain occasions where I would love to use a car share program, but just don't feel like I can commit to that monthly membership structure.
Very interesting. Thank you. Thank you for that. And are you experiencing in Denver, some of the effects of some of the what do you call them, executive orders that Mr. Trump is putting in around defunding some programs?
Absolutely. A lot of it is around bike infrastructure, so not funding things that have the word bicycling in any of the projects. So I think that's where we're going to be the most.
That's really interesting. Okay. Anything with bicycles even in it. My goodness. Okay. All right. Well, we'll hear it again. Ali, you're next.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry I didn't hear that I need to introduce myself. I actually am not part of any car share company, but I am actually a member of Colorado Car Share. I hear that's it's also based in Denver. So I am an active member of Colorado Car Share. I love car share. And before, I was a member of Ithaca Car Share in upstate New York. So when I found out that you guys had an association, I was like, I feel I should just go and talk to them. I am already I was part of two member organizations. So I was just interested of seeing what initiatives you guys have. Overall, I love car share opportunities, and I love being a member.
We love that you love it. I know that Peter, who is the executive director of Colorado Car Share, of course, Colorado Car Share is a member of the CSA, and Peter is on our board. So do you volunteer with them, like as a board member or anything?
No, I'm just a member that pays its monthly membership and uses the cars.
Well, you might consider.
Yeah, when I went through the website, I saw the CSA and I was like, oh, wow, it's so great. There is an association. And I'm originally from Mexico City, so I was even wondering if there could be a car share opportunity there or if there was a company there. So I just thought of joining and just
Very
listening.
nice. Well, welcome, and I'm so glad that you love it. So you're the typical person that we're trying to reach, and
Yeah.
Maybe from your insights as to sort of what's happening in the environment right now, in the political and economic environment, do you see an opportunity for car sharing right now from your perspective as a participant? Like, what can we jump on or create lemonade out of lemon? So we might want to think about that. I'm just going to go to Mo first and get his introduction, and then we'll move to a discussion.
Sure.
Mo?
Hi, how are you guys? Good to meet all of you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I just wanted to start off by first saying kudos to Evo, man. Fantastic website. I love your artwork. I've got my colleague on here. His name is Philip, and he presented your website to me, and I said, I love this, love it, love it. But those are not easy graphics to get done. I'm with a company out here called Bristol, and it's been a rental company around Ontario for about 50 years now, somewhat local to the GT, approximately about a 200-kilometer sort of a range. About 5 years ago, they started looking into car share, so a slight transformation on a part of their business moving into a car sharing platform. We have a very huge client base that's kind of interested in this, so it gives them an option as opposed to kind of renting vehicles and renting a vehicle for sort of like, whole day and paying something like $50. They can get into a car now for $7 an hour, $8 an hour. So we saw quite a successful platform there as well. The good news is we just had our first official car share customer today through a platform. Everything is all, through your phone. Car turns on through the phone. The GPS mapping and all that is pretty good. We're expecting to grow by maybe close to 50 to 100 vehicles also on a monthly basis if this kicks off right. We have a great foundation here in the sense that we've got locations across, as I said, where cars can be parked, customers can pick up. So we're still in a warm test phase right now, but we do see a market for this. We do see a very special hidden market for this as well, which is, again, the corporate business aspect of it. Seeing Vancouver with all these companies having this many cars is really exciting. So when I take that back to my team tomorrow, they're going to go, what? So many? And I'm going to go, yeah. As all of you are aware, out here in Ontario, we've got Communauto. Again, they're probably at about 1,000 cars scaling up to 2,000. We've got Zipcar. Again, 1,000 to about 2,000. We've got Enterprise Car Share. Each one of these platforms works very different. I believe up in Montreal, we've got Leo that's kicking in. There's a new company that's kind of come in called HOP, H-O-P-P. So it's just a matter of kind of finding where we be best. And we had in terms of rentals, right? So we can transform to this very easily.
Well, thank you. And there's a couple more people that have come on. Thank you, Mo. Nice to meet you. And Philip, are you? Would you introduce yourself and thank you. Good.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi. Lots of people here will already know me, so sorry for boring you. But for those who are new, my name is Philip. I'm the CEO of Peg City Car Co-op. We're a consumer car share co-op here in Winnipeg. We've been around for about, I guess, it'll be 13 years this June. We've got 200 car share vehicles. 70 of them are in our what we call our flow fleet, which is our one-way or free-floating car sharing service, and then the other about 130 are in our fixed fleet, our round-trip service. We operate also a diversity of vehicles from just your daily drivers up to cargo vans and trucks and all that. And yeah, we're the only car share operator in Winnipeg, and there are no others in anywhere else in Manitoba that I'm aware of, as most of the other cities are quite small, under 100,000 people. So, that's us in a nutshell, and I'm very much, interested in just continuing to talk about. I think this meeting is, we're focusing a little bit more on the tariffs and things like that, and I was definitely very interested to wanting to hear what other car share providers, especially the bigger ones, who might be doing much larger volume orders, maybe having more time to do kind of analysis or looking at comparisons of which cars are most likely to be hit by tariffs, which ones are not. what's happening maybe in the EV sector too, as we try to transition into that. What will be the impacts there? Although Christian just sent me an article just I think an hour or two ago, which I'm very interested to look into, is to show that looks like most EVs will not be impacted, so that's neat. Yeah, just on our end for now, and I think probably I'm going to assume this is going to be most people's experience in the industry, is that none of the vehicle orders for us this spring have had any tariffs or cost increases applied to them. So that's very nice. It seems like at this point, in terms of our main growth thrust, which happens in the spring, we're pretty safe. So now it's thinking about the future into the fall orders, which typically for us have to do with rotating vehicles out and buying new vehicles for those ones that are being taken out of service. And then thinking again further into the next round of orders as we get into winter 2026. So that's where I'm at. That's what my mindset is, and some of the things that we're thinking about. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Philip. Really appreciate that. Okay, if there's anybody else that hasn't spoken yet or has something else to contribute, maybe somebody sparked something that you thought, and we can start the discussion. Mainly what I think, can say whatever comes to mind, but I'm thinking about like, how can we take this moment and create opportunity? Like the whole idea of, well, the threat perhaps of tariffs increasing the price of cars or whatever, cost of living, like Amitas was saying. Like, what is there? Is there an opportunity here for the car sharing and the shared mobility industry? Who would be your main stakeholders who you might invite into having a discussion? Like, let's do some brainstorming or some ideas as to what the moment is and how we can grow the car sharing industry in this moment. Okay.
Well, maybe to launch this, Pam, thanks a lot. I think this has been a great introduction. Actually, what I believe is that we heard a couple of very interesting things now. And I see 3 or 4 main points and that have been mentioned on the call. And one of them was the general affordability question. So this is this old thing. How can we explain to people in a better way and to a larger audience that car sharing actually is a money saver and not something that is expensive if you're projected on a car light lifestyle in an overall scheme? That would be the first thing, maybe. The second thing is the electrification question. Of course, there we've been reflecting a lot on the question whether car sharing operators, especially, or even those that make the political framework or shape the political framework, should be front runners or followers in the market. Can we afford to do that? Or does it raise what we called, and it was briefly mentioned also, a sort of a double barrier, which first forces people to kind of think car sharing instead of thinking owned car, and then secondly think electric car instead of maybe what they're still used to up to now, knowing that globally in large parts of the world we now have more or less mandatory steps towards car electrification. And then there are things that coming in also that we might want to consider, like especially in North America, where we have the fiscal cliff in transit, where not only the pandemic subsidies and special financing schemes are running out, but also at the same time, we've got a raise in the sector of autonomous cars with massive subsidies. So how does the public transit landscape that we all know is a base for successful car sharing schemes, how will that change in the months and years to come? So there's a couple of big questions out there that could really invite us to reflect, to think deeper, and this call can only be an opening to further thinking at that point.
Thank you, Arne. That's very good. And Michael is just put in in the chat as well. My question to the car share industry is what local authorities should do to support the car sharing development without just getting into subsidies. Yeah, and also I picked up on a couple of things too. It's just like who else can the local car sharing organizations collaborate with in this moment in order to get their agenda met? Like transit, and I'm Halifax. I'm from Halifax, Nova Scotia, and I started a car share company here. And I swear, car sharing has succeeded in spite of the transit. And unfortunately, that might be the same way in some other cities, right? And so how can we be of assistance with the knowledge that we have and the experiences that we have with other and collaborate with other entities, perhaps like the utility to maybe they or whoever is increasing chargers in your city, transit, the city planners, who else would benefit from more car sharing, and how can we collaborate with them? So those are some other ideas as well.
Pam, can I answer that question? Because I feel so like I've been doing this for long enough that I've started to form sort of a solidified opinion around what works in terms of the most impact. And from what I've seen, decentralized fleets that are controlled from, the community aspect seem to hit they seem to be more successful. They're more successful more consistently. And so when we're looking at like how to push for impact and sort of socialize the concept of car sharing, we're well positioned to have conversations with municipalities who have, just using this as a sort of a tangible example, fleets which are underutilized during the daytime, or whenever they're underutilized. Why switch over to electric cars if you're still only going to be using those vehicles X amount of time? Why not own the assets, use them as shared vehicles? They are for the municipality Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and then after that they're for the rest of the citizens that live within the municipality. I see that as a soft, kind of an easy way to make a headway. We are great for fleet replacement. It makes a ton of sense.
Thank you. And that also harkens back to affordability, because I know that even cities are also looking for ways to reduce their costs. Ali?
Thanks. And I know I'm just a consumer, but what I've seen that worked great was when I lived in Ithaca, the partnership that they had was with the university. And so maybe you guys can try to consider like sharing that, because that made the membership more affordable. And also there are a lot of students that don't have a lot of money to buy a car and move around those cities. So getting that membership and then lower with the partnership of the school, and then that would give them access to the car. And that was actually my experience. I had that membership with a lower price, and then I was able to move around. So maybe that would be a good idea.
Well, it's so funny you should mention that, because car sharing for I think it was mostly Zipcar started off with just universities, and then they spread from there. Like that was their original thing. And there is something to be said for going back to basics, going back to our basics, going back to our roots, and revisiting that in a new way, perhaps. That's very interesting. Now, thank you for that. And it's not
and taking further.
Not just and Ali, you're not just a consumer. You are perfect. It's great. Ali, Aaron?
Absolutely. And taking further very quickly what Ali just said. I mean, for example, there's a lot of folks out there routinely using car rental that we do not get in car sharing up to now.
Yeah.
I rented a car in Germany from a classical car rental agency because there was no car sharing available in that place in Germany 2 days ago. What a clumsy process it is. You have all that data that you already entered online on the booking portals through a broker. None of that apparently ended up in an incorrect way with the rental agency. And for something that is like $30 for 24 hours car rental, I spent 30 minutes just with the front agent, not to speak of the person who has to give me the car, receive the car, clean the car. That is not an economically viable model, in that sense. I know it's a mixture, and I'm aware of the economics very well, but at the end of the day, this is not just about the classic audience that we have for car sharing. There is a value proposition here in making the whole process more efficient. So how do we open that up and convince new audiences? I know that there are companies that do both. Enterprise has been mentioned, which is more or less successful, but how can car sharing maybe blend with other things in the future to get that thing out there and overall reduce the dependency on public cars and to a much wider audience that we have today? And I think that's the direction where all these questions pinpoint at the end of the day.
Interesting. Yes. Okay. Somebody else and some more comments or ideas. There's a person, Philip, I haven't heard from you. You joined a little bit late, and I'm wondering if you'd like to introduce yourself and talk about your experience of the moment. Philip, are you there? Okay, he's not responding. So yeah, I mean, is there, like, I'm just, out of the box thinking here, like, what about cross memberships? What about, even different cities? What about a collective response to this moment around, affordability, or a campaign around affordability? Something along those lines. So like, on two levels, one on the street level, let's say, and then also on the partnership level. How can we think a little bit more out of the box? Affordability goes beyond, who could be an unlikely partner? It could be, I don't know, a grocery store or a local markets, or like, who else would be unlikely partners but relevant around affordability?
I have something to chime in. Other than like a partner, I think as brands, we do a lot of telling people that we will save you money, right? Evo car share is great. It will save you money. We are affordable. We are convenient. But maybe in an environment like this, it's almost coming together to share case studies, or like sharing people who have had car share impact their lives. It's less of us telling people, but bringing forward the people that are going to tell everybody else, like, this allowed me to do this in this environment. This did this. I think that that's something potentially, well, each of us could do it on our own, but collectively, like a communication campaign, or more like on a PR side, because then it's more objective versus, oh yeah, Evo told me I can save money.
Yeah.
It's still expensive, right? But if somebody else said it, maybe.
Oh, I like that.
Just a thought, like a PR,
No, I love it.
like collective thought. We have a car share member on this call. Did it change your life? Do you want to be the official like representative of how awesome car share is?
Allie, the car share person.
I can give a little speech.
You can be the poster child for this.
I mean, this is the second car share company I'm a member of, so I'd love that.
And Allie, actually, Ithaca is also a member of the CSA, so you've hit both members of the CSA. But that's
how
not
I found out of this association once Colorado Car Share put in their website that they were part of this association, and I found Ithaca Car Share. I was very happily surprised. I didn't know that there was an association.
But that's really interesting, and I think the CSA could perhaps play a role in that we could do a series of LinkedIn short little videos that would come from our association rather than a local. Oh, there you are, Allie.
Yeah, sorry, I just realized my camera has been off all the time.
To create some buzz around from an objective point of view, or at least from an industry point of view, rather than the local. And the other thing that Halifax does here is we partner with the transit organization. So we have, if you're a member of the car share here, which is it was CarShare Atlantic, which was when I owned it, but when it went to Communato, I sold it to Communato. But the partnership still exists. So when you become a member of the CarShare, you can get a discount of the transit membership. So you literally buy it through CarShare, and you get it from, we mail it out to you, and you get your you get your transit pass through your CarShare organization. That's one way in which we partnered with the transit organizations.
Hey, Pam.
Yes, Erin.
Just going back just really quickly to what Amiris was saying around sort of like the legitimacy behind sort of, testimonial in some ways. I got really fixated for a little while on this white paper that Uber, of all people, had put, or all organizations had put out in Australia. So they started doing car sharing there. And they white papered sort of a scenario where it's like around their car share, like, oh, we asked this many families to get rid of their cars for a period of time, and this is how great it went. But it was a beautiful document. Everything about it was super compelling, even though we understood that the information underneath of it, we recognize the economic challenges. But it was deeply compelling. And I think I really am liking where we're going with this sort of concept of like industry alignment in terms of our own advocacy. So if there is a way that we can come together and bring forward members who have like life-changing stories and just sort of explain how this service has actually impacted them through their, they're not being compensated for this work. They're just telling like, this is how this has actually worked, and it's really applicable to me. Having a voice that comes from different organizations doing the same thing, I think is really powerful, as long as it's done well. And so I would love us to sort of think about what that could look like.
Thank you. I do too. I'm kind of drawn to that as well, because what happens is that so for example, let's just play it out a little bit. Like the CSA plays a role in creating these, or working with, collaborating with the CSOs that are members particularly, and finding finding our allies. Is it ally? Is that how, am I pronouncing it correctly? Yeah. Because it's on it's sort of like, it implies local, but it's a collective response. And so people can look into, when they see them, they can find out, and at the end of it, it could be something along the lines of, do you have a car share organization in your city? Look for it, whatever. And then on a next level is finding those partners that might actually, I know we do this all the time. We always look for collaborators, but in this moment, what could be a little bit different in terms of, especially in North America, we think our cars are going to be more expensive, and so we could be ready for that, and have a campaign around the expensiveness of or the tariffs or whatever. There's been a couple more suggestions on the chat. I haven't been keeping up with that.
I mean, given that we have only a couple of minutes left,
yes,
why doesn't everybody who's on the call right now, in 10 seconds flat, say what is the 1 or 2 words, what is the key narratives, the key rationale that might build on the leads that have been generated in this call? What are the key rationales that can help us conquer new audiences beyond the classical, target groups that in car sharing we've been dealing with for the last 25 years? How can we expand that? Because if we see that there's a stagnation in membership growth, which is always a sign of market saturation, and there might be other factors influencing that. So we need to move beyond the traditional audiences that we have. How can we do this? What would be the one core idea in your hand? I mean, be repetitive. If that is it affordability? Is it convenience? Is it whatever makes people's lives easier? Is it being a forerunner? Is it being bettering your real estate investments? What could it be of all the things that we've been saying, and maybe also those that we haven't been saying? What is it? Everybody, 10 seconds.
So Michael is texting because I don't think he can speak because he's on a train. Michael says strict parking policies in cities, because that's also a deterrent for car ownership. So thank you. Anybody else?
Free floating convenience.
Thank you.
Why is convenience and affordability?
Thank you.
Let's try irrational. So we've done a lot of rational thinking. Let's be irrational. Let's just make car share and shared mobility cool. I mean, people buy cars. We know they don't make sense. So
how do we, you know what, we could do like this whole campaign on how cool, like go over the top on cool, but then people will actually go and look and find.
Yeah, that's going very deep, Venkatesh. That's going very deep.
I like that. Yeah.
I know I'm not really kind of on this call, but I have a point. I think I like that the idea of maybe making car sharing easier accessible for tourists or transients or people who are here short term or here, just get, because I'm obviously in Vancouver now, but when I first got here, trying to access Evo was hard for me because I didn't have a British Columbian driver's license. My driver's license didn't work. We got Car2Go, but then Car2Go left. So now I have Evo, obviously, but that was really, really tricky. And I think that's a lost market because there's so many Irish people, for example, living here that come just for 2 months out of the year, like thousands, and I'm sure that's the same in every city, particularly transient city. So I think if there's a way to target that market, I think that would be great.
Yeah, on that instantaneous, you cannot sign up and use a car. Well, maybe for some people you can. You definitely can't in Vancouver. Sign up and use a car instantly.
Yeah, with like
that is like pure convenience.
Yeah, any driving license across the world is acceptable as long as it's like a legitimate one.
Yeah.
That would be amazing if that was possible, but I don't think anyone can do that.
No.
Yeah, I don't know how many people call me or text me or whatever before they're coming to Halifax because they can't find a rental, and is there a solution? And I'm, it's like an instant membership would be very, very.
That is a major governance problem. Just look at the time in the USA that it took TSA to get that real ID thing through. That is being introduced or has been introduced by May 1st, if I'm not totally mistaken, in large parts of the continental United States. So that is a way to think, how can we kind of automate this verification of driver licenses, which might give this industry a huge boost. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, seconded. I think that sounds amazing.
Okay, any last thoughts? I'm really grateful for all of you to show up and participate in this. I encourage you to, if you're not a member already, to look up to the CSA and also, of course, contact me if you think this is a great idea. Maybe you could put up the slide, Aoife, with my email on it, and please contact me if you want to pursue this collective campaign. I think it's a good idea, and we'll see what we can do with that. And also make sure that send me information and we can put it out in our newsletter for announcements around the shared mobility or car sharing announcements. And I just really want to thank you, Arne, for showing up again and helping us with the conversation. And thank you all for showing up. This video will be sent out to the people who registered. It will also be on our website under the resource library. And of course, look for our new website that is coming out like within a couple of weeks. And give me your feedback. Talk to me, email me, text me, and let's keep the conversation going. So thank you again. Thank you, Ali, for showing up. You were like pivotal in our discussions. And I thank you all. Thanks.